subscribe to my mommy's channel. Like, comment, and share.
Hey y'all, welcome back to Where is the Manual? It's your girl Kiki. And today's episode is layered. We're talking about dating as a single mom. And not in just a cute surface level way. I'm talking about the real questions, the uncomfortable ones, the ones we think about but don't always say out loud. Like, do I even have time to date? Do I even have the energy to date? And honestly, do I even want to date? Because dating as a single mom is not the same as dating before kids. Not even close. Before, dating felt optional, light, and mostly fun. Now, it feels like a whole strategy. If you haven't dated in years like I haven't, getting back out there feels strange because now you're asking yourself, am I even a good picker anymore? For a few years before my child, I feel like I dated some great guys, but I was having fun, enjoying being single. So are those choices still available? Is what I considered great then great today? Because now you're not just choosing for yourself anymore. You're choosing with your child in mind. And that, quite frankly, just raises the stakes. You're not just asking, do I like him? You're asking, is he stable? Is he consistent? Is he safe? Is he someone I could eventually have around my child? And that changes everything. Dating is not what it used to be. And I'm just going to say how I feel exactly. There is more piss in the sea than when I was dating pre-child. I don't know what's happening in this world. Yeah, there are options, but not necessarily good ones. Just more people who aren't serious, more people who are emotionally unavailable, more people who say they want something real but don't move like it. And now, as a mom, you don't have time to entertain that nonsense. Before, you can go on dates just to see how it goes. Now, you're evaluating faster, you're filtering quicker, you're paying attention to things you may have ignored before because, quite frankly, your time is just limited. Your energy is limited, and your peace matters more. My non negotiables have changed dramatically. Before, I wouldn't even date men with kids. That was like a hard pass. Now, I'm older, first of all, so my dating pool is older, and I have a child. And at this point, I prefer someone with kids because there's a level of understanding. They get the schedule, they get the responsibility of it, they get that life isn't spontaneous anymore. But even that comes with its own layers, right? Because now you're trying to merge two worlds, two different schedules, two parenting styles, two different lives, right? Two different co parents, and none of that is simple. Then there is all of the logistics. And this is where it gets real complicated, right? So, who's going to be watching my child? I don't just leave my child with anybody. You've heard in my other episodes, right? Like, I was very into just, my child stays here or she's with her dad. She does not sleep outside unless she's with her dad, right? So, that's not even a really good option for me. Right. And then her dad, has her every other weekend. So now dating becomes all about scheduling. You're trying to fit connections with men into limited windows of time. And if those windows don't align, it's going to be hard. And sometimes I sit there and think, is this even realistic? Let's talk about the daily life of a single mom, or at least my life, right? So you wake up, you get your child ready for school, you go to work, you pick your child up, you do homework, you cook dinner, you give your child a bath, you read a book, you get them ready for bed. And by the time the day is over, you are mentally drained. So now the question becomes, do I even have the energy to build a relationship? Because I damn sure don't even want to talk on the phone, right? And relationships require consistency. They require communication, they require time, and time is the one thing that feels the most limited. How do you build something meaningful when there's no consistency? You can't just see someone whenever you want, right? You can't just be spontaneous. Everything has to be planned, and connection requires time. So when do you build it when you're a single mom? That's the question I keep coming back to. And then, of course, there's the deeper question. Am I even healed? Because postpartum was real. Depression is real. Life changes you dramatically when you're a mom, and then even differently when you're a single mom. And sometimes you don't even realize how much until you sit still. So now you're asking, am I dating from a healthy place, or am I just trying to fill a gap? Dating requires patience. And I wasn't even patient before. And now I needed even more patience to be a mom. I need more patience to date. Getting to know someone obviously takes time. But after a full day of work and parenting, do I even have the capacity to sit there and learn about someone new? To ask questions, to listen, to weed through the nonsense, because we know there's going to be a lot of nonsense. There's another layer to dating as single mom that I don't think people talk about enough, and this is probably the biggest one for me. It's not just about me anymore. It's about my daughter. Because now I'm not just asking, do I like this person? I'm asking, can I trust this person around my child? How will they treat her? Will they respect her? Will they be kind to her? Will they be patient with her? And that changes everything, because now the risk is different now. Before, if something didn't work out, it was just me, right? I just keep it moving and on to the next. But now there's a real fear. There's a fear of my child getting attached to someone and then that person not being there anymore. And then that's something I don't really take lightly, because I know what attachment does. I know what it feels like when someone becomes part of your world and then disappears. And I don't want to create that experience for her. When do you introduce your child? And then comes the question that every single mom has to face at some point, right? Is this the right time to introduce your child to someone, right? Do you wait until it's serious? Do you wait until it's almost an engagement? Do you wait until you feel completely sure? But here's the thing though, nothing is guaranteed, right? Like you can wait months, you can wait years, and it still may not work out. So then what? What if you do everything right and your child still doesn't like them? Or worse, what if you notice they don't like your child? Or they treat your child in a way that doesn't sit right with you? And obviously that's a non-negotiable. And as a mom, you feel it immediately, because your child is always going to come first, always. So now dating isn't just about compatibility between you and that person. It's about compatibility between a person and your entire life. The reality is that you can't really fully separate the two. And here's another big truth that people don't always talk about. As a single mom, it's harder to keep your dating life completely separate from your child, because your time is pretty limited. Your space is shared, your schedule revolves around your child. So what does that mean? It means you're often the one leaving your house, you're the one adjusting, you're the one trying to carve out the time without disrupting your child's routine. And that is going to come with a cost, because now you're choosing between spending time building a connection or being home with your child. And that's not an easy choice. Dating now feels like a responsibility. It's not just about chemistry, it's about safety, stability, emotional impact. And sometimes that makes you just pause. Sometimes it makes you question if it's even worth it, because protecting your child will always come before finding love. And I feel like that's where I'm at. And this is where I get curious, right? What are other single moms doing? How are they dating? How are they even finding time? the energy, the patience, because I know I'm not the only one navigating this. Dating as a single mom is just not easy for me. It's requiring intention, boundaries, awareness, but obviously I still believe connection is possible. I guess it'll just look different now, and maybe that's okay. I'm not just dating for me anymore. I'm dating with my child in mind, and that changes everything. And so right now, I'm just trying to figure out what's next. How do I do this? Am I ready? And will I even date? Will I find love? Because I want it eventually. Do I even want to share my space, my time now that I'm so used to being a single mom, right? Like, do I want this? And I have to be able to answer these questions before I start dating again. So let's figure this out. This is Where's the Manual, and I'm your girl Kiki. Until next time.
Subscribe to my mommy's channel. Like, comment, and share. See you on next time.